What's up, everyone? It's me, Adam Prime, and we are back for the Blazing Toku Moviethon. I'm very excited this week.
Sponsored by the Toku podcast. I can feel the excitement radiating off of you.
You're probably saying, The Transformers, the movie from 1986, that has nothing to do with Toku. And you're right.
It doesn't, but we're talking about it anyway.
Because, if I remember, the person who goes by the name, or at least by the time I got the comment, Hayden's Custom Toy Combo Reviews asked me to cover this movie.
I wonder where they got the idea.
I will use that as an excuse. I was originally going to wait years and years later to cover this movie because it is made by Toei. It's animated by Toei.
Yeah, that is true. I totally forgot about that.
So, kind of a connection.
I wonder what could have given them the idea that you like Transformers.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why people would wonder why I want to talk about this franchise. There's I don't know. It's, you know? And this is one of, if not my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah.
And somebody's probably saying, what the fuck? Well, really? And I'm like, yes, this is at least my favorite Transformers movie. And I was born in 98, so I can't even say this was a childhood favorite, but it kind of was.
You rented it from Blockbuster, from what I can remember.
Yeah, I rented it from Blockbuster a lot.
Because you had watched a lot of the cartoons and some of the other Michael Bay movies, and your mom brought it home one day.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know... Did you ever watch this movie before you met me? I doubt it.
No. Transformers wasn't really, like, a thing for me growing up. I mean, I basically only really knew the Michael Bay ones just from, like, trailers and stuff. I remember when they introduced Grimlock. I forget, what was the name of that movie?
Oh, Last Night.
The Last Night. I remember seeing the commercials for that, and I officially tuned out. I was like, they ran out of ideas, not knowing that, like, it was an established thing beforehand.
One of my favorite characters. I actually had a bunch of Grimlock and Dinobot focused episode on VHS.
That's so. Oh yeah, I remember you mentioning that. I remember it's like. Well, I've now been introduced to like so many like good Transformers stuff because of you. Like I remember. We talked about this in a actual like Toku Brew. It wasn't a This Week in Toku, right?
No, it was a regular.
It was an actual Toku Brew podcast where we talked about our experiences because The Labyrinth, one of my favorite movies growing up, and Transformers was released the same year, and they both had their anniversary showings at like movie theaters and stuff. So we went and we watched both of those movies on a movie screen. Somehow both things ended up going wrong. You can listen to more about that experience in that podcast.
Yeah, we gotta watch this.
Which one was that?
Backwards.
Was it a separate like thing just talking about those experiences?
No, it was like a random Toku Brew.
Do we insert it into like another one?
I think we were also talking about Trigger and Zenkaiger. I want to say it was that episode.
But yeah, you can listen to that more if you want to. But like that was a really fun experience. It made me really appreciate this movie more, and I really enjoyed watching some of like the features behind the scenes that were on like some of the special features here of like how they like I never knew the process of how they took film movies and then turned them into like 4K Blu-ray renders, and watching the process and hear them talk about it and fixing the mistakes, and like it was fascinating to hear. And I remember like in that theater just looking at it, I noticed so much more detail. The artists put so much time and love and effort into every single thing. It almost broke my heart to learn that like so much of that got lost in a way just because of like the graininess and the technology of the time. So I'm really happy that this was preserved and then shown in like the way I feel like it was almost supposed to be seen in. And the music.
Oh, the music, Adam. This is one of my favorite soundtracks of all time.
I unironically listen to like the music on like a playlist, and you don't even recognize that it's like a Transformers thing unless it's Transformers.
Yeah, Vince DiCola also did apparently I think the soundtrack for Rocky IV, which is also really good.
Yeah, that's another really banging 80s soundtrack.
And yeah, no, I love this soundtrack.
Go listen to it. Like whole thing's on Spotify for free, guys. Go listen to it. It's legitimately just really good music.
Look it up on YouTube.
Even if you're not a Transformers fan, it's like, good stuff.
Everyone talks about Dare and The Touch, but come on, I'm about to say, what about
Instruments of Destruction? Hunger's a big one. I love that song.
And I just love that like a lot of the tracks that are the background tracks that aren't like the hair metal tracks all have like the same beat.
They are
like
hair metal.
Boom, boom.
And the way that it goes to the music, you would never expect like 80s hair metal and Transformers to be good in an animated movie, but it really, really is. And the fact that it's like timed every once in a while. Good stuff.
Like, it is seriously one of my favorites. As you can see, I own 2 copies of the original DVD release and the most recent 30th anniversary release. And, again, this movie is just so much fun, and there's so much infamy with it, from the death of Optimus Prime and that just epic...
Spoilers!
I'm sorry,
if you don't know,
I mean... older than me, and if you haven't watched it, you kind of had your time.
Oh yeah, but what about the fact that it was took place in the distant year of 2005?
Oh, yeah. The sick...
It's coming up on, what, 2 decades ago? Oh, God.
But yeah, no, it's like...
We're old.
Hey.
It's alright, buddy. You're only a few millennia old. It's fine.
It's fine. This is a documentary, don't you know? Oh.
Yeah, it's a documentation of the Cybertronian War, don't you know?
Yeah, but don't you be laughing at it.
Were you there at that point, or had your...
I don't remember.
Were you a new Spark at the time, or?
I'm not going to talk about that. We don't need to talk about that. Either way,
yeah,
this movie is just pretty much, hey, the Autobots have lost Cybertron, and they're trying to take it back, and we need to clear out all the toy shelves, because...
Clear those peg warmers!
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, do you love Ironhide? Well, he's dying brutally.
Yeah,
like,
I would love to just knock all this
you
over.
You like Ironhide? Get him out of here! No, actually, don't throw him. I like the little man Ironhide. He's like...
You broke his legs!
He's fine. He's right there.
His legs!
But yeah, no, it's like they literally cleared shelves. Like, Autobots you just saw dying, like, left and right. They were like, pew, 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 and they're like, ah! Like, one of them was terrifying.
Time to take in the inventory.
You'll just see, like, fire and smoke come out their eyes and mouth.
Oh god, and you just see, like, the life leave their eyes and stuff like that. Like, was it Ironhide that we just saw his face just as his like smoke came out his mouth?
No, because Ironhide's death was fucking a badass moment for Megatron, because he's just
right, yeah, that was
and
him.
Megatron just says such heroic nonsense and just blasts him in the head.
Which leads me to one of the very few complaints I have of this movie.
I don't have this complaint.
I really wish that they would have took the sound effects a little bit more seriously, because music, banging. Voice acting, really good. Especially, weirdly enough, what was Spike's? Is his name Spike, or is that his dad?
No, that's Daniel's his son.
Okay, Daniel's the son. So yeah, Spike's, especially for some reason, was just really, really good. Like the animation.
Shit, what are we gonna do now?
Shit. Especially just like, you gotta do it now! Like, he's just so scared.
Like, as he's about to die, yeah.
Yeah. But like, but the fact that it's like the lasers like have like the shwoomp, like little like stock, like almost popping kind of like. It's such a non-serious comedic sounding one, and such serious, really good moments. I feel like it kind of takes away from it a little bit. I would almost like to see like a version of this with like more serious sound effects, which I imagine you don't really care.
Yeah, I don't care.
But like, as an outsider looking in, I guess.
It's so good, and again, does have those permanent moments of just like, yes, Optimus Prime does come back. Yes, it traumatized kids, but. It still felt like it. It still makes you feel sad when you're watching it.
I still get choked up, and I've seen it plenty of times. You can imagine, because he's seen it plenty of times. But I remember,
obviously they had to commemorate it in plastic form.
Yeah, this is Dedimus Prime over here. Corpsimus Prime, as we like to call him.
Corpsimus Prime.
One of the things that like we heard in the special features was there was a specific case of like a kid after seeing this locked himself in his room for like 2 weeks or something like that. Or was it 2 days? I think it was 2 weeks. Yeah, it was 2 weeks. I'm like, I want to know more about that kid, because, you know, he must have been through some stuff, because a lot of kids saw Optimus as, like, a father figure to them, like, if they watched this growing up. Like, you know, that kid must have been through some stuff in order to, like, love that character that much, to the point where he basically had to go and mourn. I want to know more about that kid. If you are that kid, or if you know that person who's probably an adult now, I want to hear your story, dude.
But yeah, no, and it's like, again, I don't get the people who overtly blame Hot Rod for Optimus Prime's death.
Even if it's just funny.
The way of his fight,
I like Rodimus in this.
Hot Rod didn't do anything when ultimately it was the companies deciding Optimus Prime's toy is old and obsolete. get him off the air.
Definitely not an icon.
Yeah, exactly. It's like some people just didn't understand he was an icon. So is that really Hot Rod's fault?
Yeah, they were looking at it as a pure business perspective, which is like, I understand.
And this was just, we got to see Megatron at his most ruthless.
It was awesome.
He literally
even as Galvatron, it still feels like Megatron.
Well, yeah,
2.0.
He even claims his kills at the end. He's even just like, I did Optimus Prime. Like, he acknowledges, even though he's now calling himself Galvatron, that he's still Megatron.
Mm-hmm.
Until season 3.
Go ahead.
And, like, it's just... And you can't even say that battle didn't leave both sides brutal. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they lost Megatron, and, like, a bunch of other good soldiers, like Skywarp and Thundercracker, and everything, and you better believe Starscream was going to take advantage of that.
We get... that infamous coronation scene is just... beautiful. That really is like a Megatron, such a Megatron moment too, of just like, hey, your plan didn't work. That's the final straw. You're now Ashes. My best of the crew. You're coming with me. Let's go kill some Autobots.
Like, let's go. I'm back in control.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, everything that has to do with like Unicron is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like from like the animation to like the voice acting, even though that actor was drunk for like 90% of it.
Orson Welles, famous director.
Bro.
Dude did Citizen Kane.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, have you ever heard his quote?
The influence, like whenever like the influence of it of him would come over Megatron, Galvatron. Oh, that was so cool. Yeah. Or especially the transformation into Galvatron.
Yeah. Orson Welles' quote on being in this movie is still one of my favorite. He's like, I play a toy that eats other toys. I think I'm like a unicorn or something. Like, he sounded drunk. And the fun fact is, if you're trying to say, hey, check it out, some Dinobots. All of the Dinobots weren't in the movie because apparently Snarl's animation cell got lost.
Yeah.
His art reference.
Yeah, there was a couple of things in here that we got to see little glimpses of in like the special features that you have mentioned before. Of like, oh, there was a cut scene during like the big fight between like Megatron and Optimus right before he dies. Was like, oh, like you see him grab what was the character's name? Dirge, and just pile drive him, which is why he's like standing up like twice.
He's like, that's an answer you're going to have to find out yourself, or something like that.
It's like, oh, that's why he's, like, standing back up, even though he had technically just stood up. So, you know, it's animated to a point.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, I feel is a little... I wish they would have went a little harder with this, because it was a great fight scene, but, like, seeing, like, the storyboards and, like, what they cut, I almost wish they would have pushed it a little bit harder.
Maybe they did,
but this was, like... This was, like 1984, essentially.
This was 1985, 1986. They really didn't care. They were
it came out in 1986, but they said it took them 2 years to make.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was 1984 or 5.
So yeah, around there. It's like as soon as they realized
Can you blame them? Yeah.
And overall, it's still a ton of fun. I think.
And apparently they were gonna have Optimus be a zombie and then re-kill him afterwards in the show.
We already knew that. That's
I never knew that, which was really funny because you imagine re-traumatizing all those kids.
We should watch that episode sometime.
Oh, is it actually like made and out?
Yes.
Oh, I need to see it now. I need to see it.
That one happened. It was like almost his final send-off. And then they did the return of Optimus Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he came back permanently. Mm-hmm. Until Japan said, fuck that, and then killed him. Again. Optimus Prime dies a lot.
One of like the coolest things that is kind of like, I don't know, like just the evolution of certain things. Weird Al Yankovic, there we go, did a song "Dare to Be Stupid" like during the Junkion scene with like Wreck-Gar and the other Junkions on the Planet of Junk. Awesome banging song, absolutely love it. And love "Dare to Be Stupid." And then later in Transformers Animated, one of my favorite Transformers like shows, he played Wreck-Gar, which is like one of my favorite versions of Wreck-Gar. So it's like, oh, it's interesting to see like he had like the song for like the original, and then he eventually became him. I would love to get like a Transformers animated toy of Wreck-Gar and then have Weird Al Yankovic sign it or something like that. I would die.
And honestly, as like a cast,
I'm trash.
As a cast, I really do like the new cast they made. Like, I like Cup. I like the older, like, he's been through it. Like, he probably even remembers the golden age, but then you get the younger characters like Springer, RC, and Hot Rod, who I feel like maybe grew up in this war.
Yeah, they've known nothing but.
Yeah, exactly. So it makes me really wonder about that. But then you have Ultra Magnus, who feels like this old friend to Optimus Prime.
And who've like been through some stuff together.
Like,
you know?
Obviously, he found him worthy enough to give him the Matrix.
Yeah.
And everything else.
But, I feel like he also kind of got robbed a little bit, but like Rodimus wouldn't have been able to do what he wasn't able. Well, whatever.
He's the chosen one.
Like he wasn't able to do what he was able to do unless Ultra Magnus was there.
Well, exactly.
I always forget about the part where he just fucking explodes every time. I'm just like, no! Forgetting that he comes back like in just a few minutes.
And honestly, and maybe I'm wrong, I feel like a lot of, at least some of the hot Optimus Prime stories that you have of Optimus Prime struggling to be leader stem from Hot Rod.
Yeah.
Because you have to think, Hot Rod, both as like the series carried on after this point, always had to feel in the shadow of Optimus Prime, and exactly how everyone who criticized him for. And you feel bad. He knows he has this galactic weight on his shoulders. He needs to keep the peace. He needs to help his people prosper. Mm-hmm. But it's so hard.
It's literally the weight of like 2 worlds.
Exactly.
Like on your shoulders. Like not only is like everything with like Cybertron and the legacy of Optimus Prime, but now he also has to worry about like Earth.
Yeah.
He probably has had a lot more time on Earth than he has on Cybertron, which is kind of saying
Maybe.
something.
Who knows?
Depending on how young he is, but like that obviously is near and dear to him. The first thing we see him doing is like fishing with Daniel. So it's like
yeah, exactly. And it's like I like his character. Everyone's just like, oh, he's a cocky piece of shit. I like that. It's like,
he's
come
fun.
on, look at his alt mode. Even look at him as a
Look at him. Those are wings. That's a spoiler.
And
look at
like
him.
That. And again, I still like characters like, I think Springer as a character later on in the movie, he's kind of just there along with RC. But I feel like as like the series went on and everything else, we got to enjoy those characters.
RC's expression as like she was dragging her dead friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like,
I think they had a really solid opening cast, and obviously we had other cast members who were there at the cartoon at this point, but they were definitely had pre-made to be in the movie, like Blaster, which was really cool to see, and like the Triple Changers, like Astro Train, and again, I think overall, even like the new Decepticons, like Cyclonus, I feel like didn't do much, but it's like he just kind of was that presence with Galvatron, and Galvatron was just more Megatron.
Cyclonus, who is he?
Yeah, Cyclonus.
There should be like a T-shirt or something, or just like it's like a picture of Cyclonus is like, who is it? And then it's like a conspiracy board of like exactly. It's one of the other
People
two.
Are like, is he Scrapnel or is he Thundercracker?
Exactly.
I don't know. But again, this just is a fun movie, and it's like it's very simple. They're just kind of going on the quest to get them. It's kind of playing back and forth with the Matrix, and trying to figure out what they need to do to take care of Unicron. But that's taking away like the Quintessa scene, where it's like you get to see like Cup and a Hot Rod dealing with the Quintessons and everything, and like the Sharkticons, and learning the universal greeting, which comes back when they meet the Junkions.
Mm-hmm. What was it again?
It was Ba Weep Grana Weep Nitty Bone. I don't have an Energon goodie right now. No. That's a sword. Don't eat that.
Ah, paper cut. It's not paper.
But overall, I love this movie. Like, I have watched this movie 1 billion times. Like, this is...
just like the Universal Green. It's like, hello! Here's a piece of candy.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean you no harm. Please take my candy and don't kill me.
Like, yeah, no, it's like, and I can watch this movie 1 billion times.
Oh,
like, yeah. I did not need to watch it for us to talk about it. We already know.
But we did
anyway. Like, the back of my hand. But this seriously, like, I'm not gonna put it in the rankings of the actual things, because that's not fair. Like, I have had this movie
that's legitimately
with me as long as I have.
The biggest biased opinion you could possibly
exactly.
And again, it's not technically Toku. We were mainly just doing this kind of one for fun, and also because we got a cool request for it. So.
Well, yeah, it was honestly mostly because somebody was like, "Hey, can you talk about this?" And I was like, "Yes."
Yes, I can.
I can talk about that.
Oh, in the time of the year when I always talk about movies, you want me to talk about my favorite movie of all time? Well, I might as well.
But yeah, no.
If you ask for it.
But yeah, no, it's like, this is obviously a franchise that's near and dear to my heart. And it's one of those things where, if you've never seen it, give it a watch. Especially if you're into Transformers. If you're not into Transformers,
or if you like 80s hair metal.
Yeah, if you like 80s animation, this is a good time to watch.
Yeah, if you are like a fan of like the 80s time of movies, like things like Demolition Man or Total Recall, you know, just like the lots of fun action and good music and stuff like that, I'd say give it a shot, especially if you like maybe even like some older anime from that era.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, yeah, it's worth a go.
But yeah, no, I think
you don't have to like watch like like any like the commentary or like the special features or anything, but like definitely give it a shot if you get the chance.
So what is your
and
favorite
please
moment?
watch it in Blu-ray if you can, because it is beautiful like that. So especially if you get a chance to see it in theaters like how we did, definitely take up the chance.
So what was your favorite moment?
Ooh, honestly, just I feel like this is almost a cop out, but that opening scene of Unicron just eating the planet, it's like, or even just like the other parts of like Unicron eating planets. It's just,
or like Moonbase 2 and
exactly. It just, you feel the intimidation, especially that opening scene just really sets up what the rest of the movie is gonna be like, and just the absolute like horror, and like you almost like think about it for a minute, just like, good God, can you imagine just looking up and seeing a thing that's just gonna eat your planet and you can do nothing about it?
The Pit of Judgment scene might be one of my favorites, especially
with like especially like with his like theme song playing in the background with like the clanging metal and everything. Come on.
Oh fuck, yeah, when they play Nothing's Gonna Stand in Our Way when they're in the water, that's such a good scene.
Oh, that's really good. Do you have a favorite scene, or
God, that's so hard.
I remember like, you had mentioned
the opening with Optimus just literally coming in, taking down everyone is one of the most badass moments. Rodimus Prime's rising scene is amazing.
That poor Insecticon that just got straight up crushed to death.
Cup just killed that poor
bug. You had mentioned
Galvatron's transformation is obviously amazing.
You had mentioned the like the part where like Megatron is essentially getting inducted into this Unicron cult is very, very good.
Pretty much.
But that whole thing as a whole. But you had mentioned the Rise Rodimus Prime scene.
Well, yeah, it's like from him just being like Rodimus seeing the Matrix and then Galvatron just being like, you can't use it, and like just see that shadowing and then them fighting over it. It's like, I love the fight choreography because it's like you see Hot Rod use his ult to his advantage, where you'll see him like bounce off a wall, change into a car.
Megatron just tackles a car. It's almost funny. You just see him like tackle a car.
Exactly, and it's just like, and then when he finally snaps it over and just like, he just gets rid of Galvatron to nowhere, is amazing. And then like, then Unicron just kills himself.
Mm-hmm.
It's seriously so
good. When they like ram into his eye with the Junkion ship.
No, I'm talking about like when he starts tearing himself apart.
Oh, no, I was just talking about that scene in general. It was really cool. Or like the time where like Starscream like has to like almost shoot his foot off to try and get out of somewhere. That was honestly like the whole like Starscream coordination scene where he gets turned into ashes is just really awesome in general.
That is great.
Oh, there's a lot of good scenes in this movie.
But yeah, again, highly recommended.
Especially if you like good animation. There's a lot of beautiful animation in here.
So we're gonna get back to our regularly scheduled program next week, but I hope you guys enjoyed this.
Yeah,
I really love talking about this.
If any of you other guys have recommendations, let us know. Yeah. Obviously, we're willing to talk about it.
Also, who's your favorite Autobot and Decepticon? Tell me down in the comments. I'm really curious.
What are yours?
Mine are obviously Shockwave, and it's really hard for an Autobot. Like maybe Ironhide.
I like Wreck-Gar. I'm trash.
Blaster's up there. Blaster's up there. I love Blaster. I love Blaster. I love Soundwave.
I weirdly love Cliffjumper.
Yeah.
Just because like he's I love that like usually the first thing you see is them killing Cliffjumper because he's essentially the most unstoppable like machine of destruction.
You've seen him in the stuff where he gets to stay alive. He goes in and kicks ass.
Oh yeah, you fear that little red bug.
He'll come at you.
Like
Don't
Cleopatra.
fuck with the Cliffjumper.
He'll come at you like Cleopatra.
Yeah, exactly.
I honestly loved I love Cup too. I love
Cup is so good.
Especially like because the Dinobots just love listening to his war stories. I'm like, finally someone wants to listen to him. It's just like,
so
such good stuff, man.
Yeah. So again, one last thank you so much for watching.
We'll see you guys next time.
And if you would,
Bell Rock
coming soon. Next week's movie is Superhero Tyson. Okay, bye.